The Giant Puppeteer. This one is less walking nightmare and more theater major with god powers. You're not running from it, you're performing for it. And no, I'm not being poetic. It literally uses its giant hands to control people below like marionettes, turning entire cities into open-air puppet shows. One blink, and suddenly you're in a full-body marionette routine. Arms flailing, feet tapping, with no clue who's holding the strings. This thing doesn't just disturb, it rewrites your will like it's editing a script. Visually, it's a tall, humanoid shadow figure with outstretched arms, fingers dangling like torn curtain cords. But it's the hands that haunt. Long, spindly, and always hovering, always twitching, like they're looking for the next dancer. Some sightings describe it as faceless. Others say it has a theater mask with an expression that shifts between joy and despair. Honestly, both versions are equally cursed. The fear doesn't come from blood or broken bones. It comes from realizing your body's no longer yours. You're not being hunted. You're being performed. You'll walk to your own doom. Smiling, clapping, doing pirouettes. That's the horror. It's not about death. It's about becoming part of the act. Some theories even claim this being doesn't act alone, that there are smaller puppeteers or perhaps victims who've become vessels. But in every version, it's clear. Once the strings find you, you're not cutting them. You're just another routine in its show, the Wildfire Giants. The Wildfire Giants don't walk like the rest, they leave trails of flame behind. Not metaphorically, I mean they literally show up wrapped in flames like they just escaped from hell's worst HR meeting. No one knows where they come from, what they want, or if they even think. They just appear when the sky's red, the trees crackle, and the wind starts whispering stuff it shouldn't know. They're tall. Not basketball tall or oops, I left my drone up there tall. We're talking skyscraper-sized humanoid torches stomping through valleys like they're allergic to peace. And wherever they go, ash follows. Towns, forests, memories reduced to smoldering postcards. Blink, and your neighborhood's a fireplace. No monstrous howls, no thunderous steps. Just a graceful drift like living wildfire performing a ballet in a dying ecosystem. It's the kind of silence that hums in your chest. The kind you only hear right before something irreversible happens. Some say they're not even alive. Just elemental tantrums the planet throws when it's had enough. Others think they're ancient gods of destruction, waking up grumpy from a million-year nap. But honestly, who cares? If one shows up near your house no longer exists. That's the only lore that matters. They're not after you. They're not after anything. That blank, silent drift, it's worse than a scream. It's like we're ants and they're just wiping the picnic table. You never realize how small you are until something massive ignores you completely. That's real horror. So next time you see smoke on the horizon, don't wait to find out if it's a fire. Just run, because if it's not a fire, it might be something that looks like one. Mushroom Crab. Mushroom Crab isn't some fantasy RPG side quest. He's what you get when nature glitched and the result refused to die. Picture a crustacean the size of a warehouse, absolutely crusty in every sense, with its entire back covered in fungi that look like they're one bad vibe away from launching spores at your bloodstream. He's got claws, legs, and a whole attitude problem that says, I've been here longer than you, and I'll still be here after you scream yourself hoarse. And no, it's not just mushrooms, it's sentient fungus that feeds off the thing it's growing on, which means this dude is basically walking around in permanent biological debt. The crab part, that's just legs and armor. Everything else is one big rotting infection that decided to go mobile. Also, let's talk size. We're not saying he's a kaiju, but he could absolutely turn a lighthouse into crab salad. He's not in a hurry. But every step sounds like a forest giving. Imagine hearing the crunch of wet wood and gravel and realizing it's not an earthquake. It's your new fungal overlord doing leg day. He's not hunting, he's migrating, which is worse. Because now you're in his path. And trust me, nobody wants to be roadkill on a mushroom highway. The Wandering Faith. The Wandering Faith doesn't come with chaos. It comes with reverence. And dread follows. The Wandering Faith is a titanic humanoid shape wrapped in decayed religious robes, endlessly dragging itself across landscapes while chanting unintelligible prayers that echo for miles. Nobody knows what it's saying, but those who hear it, they start following. Mass migrations of silent, entranced people walking toward it like moths to a holy fire. It's unsettling in the most existential way. Imagine watching someone leave their home, their family, their entire identity, just to walk barefoot across mountains toward a god that might not even see them, or worse, might see them too well. The creature's face is shrouded, always. Some believe it has none. Others say it wears a cracked porcelain mask, one that weeps blood. As it moves, the terrain shifts, crops die, rivers blacken. The air feels heavier, like you're breathing through someone else's lungs. Is it a god, a relic, a punishment? Maybe it's all three. It doesn't take your life. It takes your soul's direction. No claws, no teeth, just an overwhelming sense that kneeling is right, that giving up is peace, that worship is the only thing left to feel. No one knows what happens when the followers reach it. Maybe Maybe they dissolve into ash. Maybe they become part of its tattered robe. But one thing's for sure, you don't come back from worshiping the wandering faith. The moon worshippers. They don't look threatening. Hooded silhouettes lined up like pilgrims beneath the night sky, standing perfectly still with their heads tilted up, as if waiting for a god that forgot them. But the longer you stare, the more it breaks you. You start to realize they don't blink. They don't sway, and they're not people. Trevor Henderson's moon worshippers are some of the most visually silent but psychologically loud entities in his entire gallery. They appear in clusters, always facing the moon, often on hillsides, rooftops, or abandoned highways. Locations that feel both intimate and infinite. But it's not just where they appear, it's when. They show up during full moons, always. And when they do, animals go quiet, electronics glitch, and people nearby report feelings of nausea, confusion, or overwhelming sadness. It's as if the air bends around them, like grief has a gravitational pull. They never speak, never move, but they somehow make you feel like you're intruding on a sacred ritual, one that was never meant for human eyes. And here's the part that messes with you. They aren't just looking at the moon, they're communicating with it. Some witnesses claim the moon glows brighter when they arrive. Others say they've seen the figures lift off the ground, levitating ever so slightly, before vanishing into thin air. But the creepiest theory? The moon worshippers aren't worshipping the moon. They're summoning something behind it. The Behemoth. The Behemoth moves not across landscapes, but through the bones of the earth itself. People always talk about the apocalypse like it's going to start with fire, floods, or some cosmic event tearing open the sky. But what if the end's already here, and it's just sleeping? Somewhere beneath mountains, under layers of crushed stone and forgotten tectonics, something massive stirs. They call it the Behemoth. Not because it's big, but because no one can describe it without running out of words. From what we do see, and that's barely the top of its head, this thing is a reptilian nightmare the size of a continent. Rough estimate, 800 kilometers tall, though who's measuring when the measuring tape would melt from fear? It doesn't move much, but when it does, entire coastlines vanish from the map. Its face is just gray skin, black eyes like pits into non-existence, and a jaw so wide it might have swallowed the mountain that tried to bury it. And it didn't even chew. Now here's the kicker. The Behemoth is apparently just one of a species, plural, as in there could be more. And if that doesn't make you want to move to Mars, nothing will. She's not attacking, not roaring, not doing anything really. But you know that silence before the worst kind of storm? That's what this is. The Behemoth is the punchline to a cosmic joke we didn't know we were part of. Bodyworm. Bodyworm isn't lost in the woods. He is the woods. And the woods are not okay. Now, first off, yes, the name Bodyworm sounds like a forgotten Minecraft mob or some rejected Pokemon evolution. But don't let the foliage fool you. This walking tree worm hybrid is basically what happens when Mother Nature watches too much body horror anime and decides to experiment. So what is bodyworm actually? Well, imagine a worm, but not a cute squiggly dirt noodle. No, this is a kilometer-long, forest-consuming flesh cylinder with branches growing out of its back. Hence the name. But it gets better, or worse, depending on your tolerance for plant-based nightmares. It doesn't slither. It rips through the ground. Trees? Gone. Hills? Flattened. Entire biomes? Rearranged like some chaotic nature-themed interior decorator. And the face? Oh yeah, it's got one. A big, stretched-out mask-like thing on the front that may or may not be a skull. We're not sure. No one's gotten close enough to confirm, which honestly is probably for the best. Also, fun fact, it's part of the same extended freak family as the other Trevor Henderson giants. You know, the ones that treat cities like Lego sets. But Big Branch, he's more of a rural menace. Like if Silent Hill took place in a national park, there's no roar, no scream. Just the distant sound of trees snapping like twigs and the occasional glimpse of that massive head cresting over the tree line. And if you do see that, don't worry, it probably saw you first. So, kids, moral of the story? If the ground starts rumbling and the forest starts moving, it's not an earthquake. It's just Big Branch doing landscaping. Horrible, fatal, eldritch landscaping. Anyways, let's keep stomping down the foliage path. Next freak incoming. The Bird Watcher. You're not supposed to look back, but when something that tall is looming on the horizon, it's hard not to. The Birdwatcher is a thin, avian-like titan that appears to be made of old iron beams, tattered feathers, and shattered glass. It doesn't flap wings, it glides disturbingly slow, as if time around it is too scared to move fast. What makes it worse? It watches, always watches, not just with eyes, with cameras, with mirrors, with birds. You see, it's not just a giant, it's a surveillance god. You think you're alone in the forest? It sees you. Sitting in your apartment at 3 a.m., it sees you. Every crow outside your window might be a node in its network, and when it really sees you, when it focuses, that's when you feel your bones shift. That's when your dreams start showing its face. There are theories it used to be human, a paranoid scientist maybe, or a prophet, who tried to become divine through observation. Whatever the origin, it now floats above treetops and ruins, watching humanity like a dying parent watches a disappointing child. People who encounter the birdwatcher don't always die, but they never rest, because once it's seen you, part of you stays seen forever. And yeah, that's your night ruined. 8 of Trevor's most unhinged skyscraper freaks casually explained. Sleep tight, and maybe keep an eye on the skyline, just in case something waves back.